All right, good morning, class. Hope you're doing well today. This is our very first lesson in our flipped world history classroom. So let's get started. We are in world history this year, and we're starting at creation, and your first book goes all the way through the Middle Ages. So this lesson, there's a little bit of a nuance, a little bit of a difference that I want you to be aware of. Normally, you will be doing fill in the blank notes for the lesson, but for this first one, since we're just getting the hang of everything, I'm going to actually give you notes in class, and I would like you to just highlight them or add comments to the notes of things that I talk about. And then starting next week, we will have fill in the blank notes. So it's a little different for these first couple lessons, but that's just to warm you guys up to this new style that we're working on. So the story of our world must begin with God. He is and the most important part of human history is mankind's relationship with God. We know that God is eternal and he made everything. He is not limited by space and time like we are. And in his love and his creative power, God made the material universe that you and I get to live in. Within our physical universe, God created humans on planet Earth, and the story of mankind spans thousands of years, but it's in within the context of eternity, and that's what we get to study today. So, if the most important part of human history is our relationship to God, we need to consider how does history fall into that? Now, we know that back in Genesis, we see that man had fellowship with God in the Garden of Eden. But pretty soon, man rebelled, we sinned, and it caused a separation between us and God. And then the great quest for reconciliation began. And God in his love set up a loving way for reconciliation to happen. God reached out to mankind in love by sending his son, Jesus Christ, to be our reconciler, our redeemer, our savior. And the Bible is the story of God's work to bring people back into relationship with him. So, the quest to know God is mankind's most important task because God defines who we are as human beings because he's our creator. And since we're created in his image, we have a responsibility to fulfill his purposes for us. So we're going to see all sorts of stories this year and events that happened in history, wars, politics, new technologies, things that dramatically change the world we live in. But out of all of these stories, the most important account is that Jesus Christ came in human flesh. Wisdom and love came in human flesh and died for you and me and provided us a way to have connection with God the Father again. And that's amazing. That's the best story in history. That's what all the other heroes' journeys are based off of. The reason we like hero stories so much is because there's a part of our heart that wants that to be true, and it is. The ultimate hero story is Jesus Christ coming to love and live here on earth and then to sacrifice himself for us. So, the Bible is the story of God's work to bring people back into a relationship with him. And we have a fundamental need to know God. And the study of world history can help us with that. If it's not connected to God, while it's interesting and wonderful, it's actually doesn't serve its full purpose. There's a lack of depth there. Um, so we're studying world history because it not only gives us an understanding of the current world we live in, but it also helps shed some light on our purpose. So, the next thing I'd like to go through is the different reasons. We have 4 different reasons why we study world history. Number 1, human history sheds light on our identity and purpose. All right, identity and purpose. So think of the building of the pyramids in Egypt, or the tribal wars in Africa, or the accomplishments of the scientific revolution. All contribute in some way to defining who we are and where we're going. And the development of different cultures and exploration of the world and even exploring outer space, they have an impact on where you and I live and what we believe and everything like that. So our first lesson is human history sheds light on our identity and purpose. Number 2, we can learn lessons from the past. Throughout history, we see a common theme that all humans have adversity in their life, or trials or obstacles. And it's important for us to know the stories of people and how they went through obstacles and how they were challenged, but yet they still made it through, because a lot of times their challenges were very similar to our challenges. For instance, 2020, we experienced COVID. Well, back in 1920, they had the the influenza pandemic. We are never the first to experience something. And when we know the stories of the past, not only can we glean insight and good ideas, but we can also be encouraged that they made it through this trial, and so can we. So we can learn lessons from the past, and we can also gain encouragement. We also learn what not to do in a lot of cases. Number 3, our reasons to study history is it's to help us understand the world we live in and how to honor God in it. Helps us understand the world we live in and how to honor God in it. So, a lot of the political dynamics that exist in our world today are because of things that happened about 3 decades ago. And unless you have a full grasp of 3 decades ago, you're not actually going to fully understand why things are the way they are around you, why certain things have a certain emphasis, why certain things are a touchy subject. History helps inform us about the world we live in. And when we have a better understanding of the world we live in, we can be more effective for the cause of Christ. We can build his kingdom a lot better and a lot more effectively when we know our cultural context. We know about why certain things or methods would work well here or why they wouldn't. And that's just one example. But when we understand history, we can actually be more effective in honoring God in our current culture. And number 4, reasons to study world history. World history begins with God, and it will ultimately end with God when we all appear before his judgment seat, as we read about in Revelations. So between those 2 points, each of us lives our lives on the same planet where every other human has lived. We are connected to other people because we share the same human condition and because we have given life for the same purpose. We were all given life for the same purpose, to honor God. So by knowing something about the story of human history, human life on this planet, we can live our lives in a way that will make a difference for now and into eternity. And that is why we study world history.